My name is James Craik. I'm an independent science fiction author, and a lot of people have contacted me asking me to do videos on how to write, and I think that would be ridiculous for me to do so long as I still work a day job. That clearly doesn't stop pretty much everyone else on YouTube from doing that kind of content. I don't plan on doing that. However, I am going to be sharing thoughts here and there about writing, and I don't know, just go with me right now. You'll see that I'm not going to pitch this as like I'm giving you the secrets to success, because anyone who looks at my BSR knows I can't really say that. However, I can fucking tell you some problems that other people are doing. That's for damn sure. And today I'm starting a series that I'm probably going to term Worldbuilding Rants. Because there are things that people do that drive me crazy. Now, this should probably get folded in with my Faster Than Light video, but today I'm here to tell you why I hate steampunk. It's terrible. It is so stupid. It is the only genre and aesthetic that I hate more has to be the Fallout franchise of just glue rusty pipes over your chest and call yourself a raider. Oh my god, okay, that's a video for another day. Today, steampunk, because I had the misfortune of finishing Perdido Street Station today. Book one of the new Crobazon series that you will never get me to read because that was such an offensively bad ending. This book is weird fantasy, weird fiction, wherever it jams in a lot of ideas, too many ideas, oh my god. But one of the big ones is it's clearly got some steampunk vibes going on because it has these like clockwork steam-powered constructs, and it just did everything wrong, in my opinion. So, steampunk is a very popular genre, obviously. It looks cool. Alright, I get it. I get the clash between grimy, oily clockwork machines next to well-dressed, dashing gentlemen in their pseudo-Victorian outfits where everyone has just glued gears and cogs onto them. Now, any artist can probably complain to you about the extraneous, useless crap that you see on my super special steampunk OC Do Not Steal. Not quite here to complain about that. Steampunk drives me crazy because I am an engineer. I can look at what they are saying they are doing, and I cannot give them the benefit of the doubt. I cannot suspend my disbelief that much. Now, the big one is always the robots. They love to have robots, even like tiny ones. I've seen some. I probably can't name any of them, but I've definitely seen clockwork birds and such flying around. Do you know how complicated that is? That is something that quadcopters today cannot really do. Like you cannot have a quadcopter behave like a bird behaves. And that it comes down to the computational analysis that is needed to do these constructs without magic. Now, big disclaimer right there. If it's powered by magic, sure, run away, have fun. It's good. Enjoy the aesthetic. Try not to put too many zippers and cogs and gears on your stuff, because just including magic and changing it instead of from steam powered to Magitech, that buys the suspension of disbelief, because that is actually providing something that can take the place of electricity. Steam and gears and wind-up springs cannot replace electricity. You cannot have these wind-up toys do things that modern robots can't. It just doesn't work that way, okay? Now, I'm going to set aside the fact that the genre is almost always used to complain about like the East Indian Trading Company and British colonialization, and oh my god, the age of sail is so terrible. Whatever, that's just authors being bad. It's not really something that you can levy against the genre. Now, then you get into other things. I'll come back to the constructs, don't worry. Another thing that people always talk about is, oh, it's so good, is the airships. Well, there's good reason we don't use dirigibles. Now, we might end up doing it if the governments around the world decide that carbon emissions are Satan, and we can't use superior technology anymore because, well, okay, yeah, you fill a sack with hydrogen, and it doesn't take much energy to keep it in the sky, and you just kind of poke it around, you float on currents, and you can get from place to place slowly. That's the problem with airships. They are so big that you can't push them through the air quickly. You might think that a jumbo jet is big, but compared to the amount of people it's taking in that as it's cutting through the wind and the storms and the clouds at high speeds, like it's actually very small. The planes do not carry useless material. They are very, very sleek in their profile they present to the wind. A dirigible is going to be fighting wind all the time. It's really just not a good means of travel for the way that steampunk likes to use it. Like for having, I've seen it try to replace helicopters so they could have, the well-suited and booted police force drop in from the sky. That's cool narratively, but it's just kind of like, does it really work though? Is it really a good idea to have, flying Hindenburgs? Because for the record, helium is really, really hard to get. Hydrogen, super easy. You put electricity into water, you get hydrogen. Easy peasy, but they blow up. You'll get runaway gas explosions. And I can't think of any hydrogen-based dirigibles in fiction that have actually gone up. And everyone knows they go up like that because the Hindenburg. So there's just this appeal of skyships that just don't really work. Again, that can be fixed with magic, but then you're veering further and further away from steampunk. When someone tells me that they're building logic gates out of gears and steam valves, though, and springs and mechanical components, I want to scream. Okay, technically, sure, you could eventually do calculations like that. And yes, I will actually sidebar, there is such a thing as analog computers. The analog computers actually predate digital computers because they were originally designed and developed to do instantaneous calculus mathematics, so they could do things like calculate what the tide would be a week from now, because it turns out there's like 12 different variables that impact the height of the tide. And you really need to know accurately when high tide and low tide will be if you're trying to have an efficient trade port. And you can do that by having these giant constructs of like moving levers and beams and rolling balls that the volume is the integral and all that, and you can pivot the axis of rotation based on how it's spinning to get the different calculations and all that. And that uses the mechanics to instantaneously do the math that you have already figured out. But that isn't a general purpose calculator. It does one specific calculation, one specific function, instantaneously, easily, and accurately, that you have to dial in because of manufacturing defects. They actually tried to have analog computers in many bomb guidance systems during the World War II, and they don't work. They just do not work, because once you say, I need to make this one thing at scale, you can't make it reliably like that. The fact that our currency coins are similar as they are is a manufacturing miracle, in my opinion. There will always be little bits of variation in mass and size and fit and shape and roundness and surface finish and whatever. Something's going to get dinged. Something's going to get lost. There's going to be a bit of a bend. So this was cut at this temperature. This was cut at that temperature. Something is going to happen, and you're going to get that little tiny seed of error that will then propagate. Now, digital tries to fix that because digital doesn't care too much about small error because it's actually the system of self-correcting data signals. That's where logic gates come in. Now, then you get into the question of, well, how long does it take to do a computation? Because you go on YouTube, you can pull up people saying, oh, I made a computer in Redstone in Minecraft. I made a computer using falling water. I made a computer using Lego. If you watch it, let's take the Minecraft one as an example. Whenever you see a video of, I made Minecraft in Minecraft, first of all, they've modded it to keep more chunks opened, and they probably have like 16 gigs of RAM completely occupied with trying to keep that up and updating. And on top of that, they have modded the game system to run at like 1,000 times faster than it's supposed to run. Or more accurately, they have sped up the video 1,000 times. Because like Redstone in Minecraft is not fast. It is not the clock speed of your processor. It is the clock speed of the contraption they built in there. If you set up a pachinko array of marbles to fall down and hit levers that simulate and or not gates and whatever, you have to actually wait for the marbles to go down to do like each logic check. In comparison, with a processor board, with the gates and the semiconductors and a computer, you're not moving mass. There's no inertia going on. There's no vibration. Temperature doesn't matter. No physical constant really matters because you're using magic. You're using electric fields. Electric fields can instantaneously change. You can pull them back. You can switch their direction instantaneously because they don't have inertia. They don't really interact with each other if you built your board correctly and everything's insulated. Doing stuff over here does not screw up your calculations over here, like having a rattle on one side would screw up clockwork gears on the other side. If you punch your computer, unless you crack it, you can pick up a computer and shake it. Look, I am shaking a microphone right now. This is in part a digital computer of sorts. Not a general purpose one, but and it just works. It works when it's hot. It works when it's cold. It works when it's humid and when it's wet and when it's old and when it's new and when I'm moving it around this way and that way. And mechanical components cannot say the same. Or if you do build them to that robustness, you will be measuring your clock speed in minutes per flop. Not picoseconds per flop, minutes. So technically you can do that, I guess. But you can't program a computer. You can't have a construct that is able to take verbal commands like clean up the dirt and put it in the trash can. That is a vague command that has to be interpreted and applied to the world, and the machine has to figure out the vague meaning of our fuzzy logic to put together and compare to the current state and what a desirable human state is and what constitutes what is trash, what isn't trash, what is dirt, what is dust, what is spill, what is liquid. The amount of effort it actually takes that humans just don't realize because humans are innately programmed with this. You can't cram that into a mechanical computer. And even if you could, even if you had a giant stationary mechanical computer, a machine thinking about thinking is not actually conscious. That does not make life. That is not what being alive and conscious and morally responsible for yourself is. I'm very upset with this book. Not to mention, doing all that, all those innovations, all those tweaks, all the metallurgy, the corrosion concerns, the galvanic reactions, the necessary knowledge in fluids and dynamics and everything you can imagine. It always is just, the stories just feel like they're about some genius inventor who can do it all because they're so wanting to be Leonardo da Vinci or Nikola Tesla or whoever. It doesn't exist. It never existed in real life even. It takes hundreds of people to invent things. That's why just programming a software and trying to build a robot, Boston Dynamics has like thousands of employees. Because no single human is able to cram in all the expertise needed to make these kinds of breakthroughs at this point. But obviously, you probably listened to that and went, oh, James, I don't care about that. I don't care about mechanical things. It's just cool. I'm glad you can enjoy something I can't. I think steampunk is so stupid. Also, like, steam? Really? Come on. We moved on to oil and diesel and combustion engines for a reason. Ugh. No, so go to diesel punk. No, nobody does diesel punk, and you know that. So yeah, that has been my rant. Let's see. Obviously, everyone, like, most of the draws to fashion. We all know that. Find a better way to do it. Bring in Magitech. Just say that it's the fashion of the city in a modern day, and write science fiction like a regular person. Till then, tune in next time, so hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more of the reasons that Perdido Street Station was like a giant slap in the face by the time I finished it. And let me know in the comments if you have some defense of steampunk. I'd love to hear it, because I'm pretty sure you're wrong, or you're going to call me autistic or something, I don't know. Till then, hit the like button too. Cheers.